and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to recreate the Au5 hyper growl but in Vital. I'm going to show you guys the one-to-one translation from his video into Vital. We're going to talk about the problems that you face along the way and how to solve them, and going to give you guys a couple extra little tips to tweak the sound to make it more your own. With all that said, let's get right into the DAW.
All right, so now we are at the DAW. Let's go ahead and open up an instance of Vital and initialize the preset. First thing we're going to do is turn the phase randomization all the way to 0 and the phase itself down to 0 as well. I'm going to go to the LFO, set it to saw up, apply that to the wavetable position, and set our unison to 50% detune and maximum voices. All right, now we're going to do the little more complicated things. So go to your wavetable editor here and remove the wave source group. Add a line source and flip horizontal. And boom, you have your long saw. Now go to the effects, the compressor, and we can't change these threshold ratio as a ratio like you can in OTT. You can only change these thresholds individually. So what I like to do is something that's like super scientific. I'm just gonna, eyeball it, kind of like something like that, and then I'm gonna eyeball it over here to where like these two kind of meet. I'm just gonna, and that looks pretty darn close. And to set these little gaps so that they look like what they did before, roughly. Scientifically precise. And you're ready for resynth. So let's go ahead and resynth to this wavetable 6 times. Okay. And now let's go ahead and listen to this wonderful wavetable that we've created with the unison off, of course. Go ahead and pitch that bad boy down a bit. And turn this compressor off. All right, cool. So from here, we're just going to apply a standard growl recipe and see what comes up. So let's go ahead and reset this to the triangle, turn this into a ramp, apply that LFO to your wavetable position. That's kind of already a fairly cool articulation. I'm going to use the LFO on a bandpass filter over here to give it some extra harmonic movement, turn the drive up, a little bit of distortion. We're going to go back to the compressor, and I'm going to turn these all the way back down to kind of where they were at. I want to say it was something like that. Just turn the output down on the bass. Kind of tweak these knobs a bit. That sounds more high end. There we go, that should be good enough. Okay, and equalizer, we're going to do the reverse modulation on the cutoff of a bandpass. Nice. And phaser. Modulate the center frequency, turn the feedback down and the mix down a bit. He just ramps so it's not so aggressive. And I'm going to put a soft clip at the end to kind of give it volume. And there you go. You have AU5 hypergrowl at home. Now let's talk about how we can make this a little bit better. The first thing we can do is look at this wavetable. So one issue with this wavetable here is as we move across the wavetable, we turn off all the effects real quick. Turn the filter off. What you'll notice is that it's slapping between frames is what I call it. Because your oscillator has to make such wild jumps between the waveforms. There's no coherent movement in the wavetable. So we're going to fix this by going to the blend style and hitting spectral and changing the window size. The window size is what's really going to help us with this movement. So I like to crank this up to like the maximum, so 10K. Normalize, and you have a little bit of a different articulation happening. Let's go ahead and find a good spot again. And then turn all of our effects back on. And then you just kind of tweak it to get it sounding the way that you want, but already a lot better. Can add some stereo widths. Come over to the LFO stereo knob, hit Control if you're on Windows, or Command if you're on Mac, and that gives you access to the ultra fine tuning to the stereo knob over here. I'm going to turn this up to 9 thou. Doing this introduces the Haas effect, where one copy of the sound is playing in the left ear and another copy is playing in the right ear, just slightly delayed from one another. This produces stereo effect. There we go. I think my only complaint really with this growl is you can hear that pew! Sounds like a sine wave going down. I'm pretty sure it's just this resonance right here. There you go. But the problem with turning the resonance down is now you don't get the articulation that you want anymore. So that would be my only complaint with this patch over here. I could tweak this for hours on end to get it just the way I want it, but for the most part, this is a fairly usable growl. You could throw it onto your, you could throw an EQ, some OTT, some more distortion, a fat rack. Go buck wild, my friend, with how you want to make a growl out of this. Okay, so now that you have the basic hyper growl in Vital, I'm going to show you how to kick your wavetables up a notch. So to do this, we're going to have to have a discussion on the unison in Vital, and we're also going to have a discussion about the wavetable. We're going to start with the wavetable because it's the quickest one. So one thing you can do here is I have this AU5 Hypergrowl at Home preset that just sets up all of this, which I'll share with you guys in the description. So you're ready to resynth. So we're going to do one resynth here. And what I want to show you here is that if you do the spectral blend and play with the window size, when you resynth, you get a different kind of wavetable output. So I'm going to do this and then maybe go 500 and just make it smaller, see what it does, and then resynth. You can do this a bunch of times when you do it. The problem is that you have to do this every single time you want to change an aspect inside of the wavetable editor. So that can get annoying, but it can give you some pretty cool wavetables as well. We change the spectral, it's bump this window size up to like 5,000. Like, what the hell? You know, that's basically... You're pretty much already there. You just do your growl procedure on that, and away you go. I'm going to save this because I like that wavetable. I'm going to call it HD. I think I'm on 6 now, whatever I'm on. 6. So that's one way you can get different wavetables out of it and get different articulations. Let's go ahead and do another one here. So I'm going to go back to my Au5 at home. That's how you use the wavetable editor to get different wavetables. That's one area you can play with. The second is this unison. And this unison's really, really cool because we have access to a whole bunch of different modes. So the way that unison works in Vital, you have your normal selection of options. So you have your voicing, the number of voices, and you have the percentage of detune. How much of the detune range are you going to fill? 100% detune means that in the predefined detune range, it's going to spread the voices across the entire range. So in this instance, the detune range is set to 2 semitones. So that's 2 semitones up and 2 semitones down. So a total range of 4 semitones. If you turn this down to 50%, right? If you turn this to 50% and set this to 4, which you have to do manually, it's the same as if you put this at 100% and set this to 2. It's the same. So it's a scale factor of how much in your detune range that you can is filled up with your voices. The first of the fun options is this power. They call it power. I call it distribution because it changes how the voices are distributed across the across the detune range. If you turn the power all the way up, it localizes the majority of the voices at the center. Yeah, at the center note. So whatever frequency that your key is hitting. So you get this. Something a little bit more harmonious, but you still get a little bit of that phasing effect. Or you can go the opposite direction and send all of the majority of the voices to the maxima and minima of your detune range. Which surprisingly right now sounds good. Oftentimes I have found that it typically sounds absolutely terrible, but for whatever reason right now it sounds good. Maybe if I turn this to like 50%, it'll make it sound bad again. There we go. Yeah. So depending on where you have your detune range and where you have your ratio, or I guess you could call this like fill, will kind of change how the unison voices are spread across the frequency range, which is really cool. So I'm going to put this back down to normal. I'm going to leave this at 100% so we get maximum effect. You have your blend, which is your mix knob, and you have your stereo, which is mono to stereo adjustment. You can play with the detune range here. So like I said before, this is in semitones. So I can crank this up to 48 semitones or 0. So 48 semitones means that from your center frequency, it'll go 4 octaves up or 4 octaves below. Somewhere between that range is where it's going to spread all your unison voices. So we get this horrible just dissonance. The stack button changes the type of unison that it's going to use. this, the way that this works is I call it the coarse adjustment. So it determines which frequencies it's going to localize the voicing. So if we do an octave, for instance, what it's going to do is it's going to look at your target frequency, so your fundamental, and one octave above, and between there, apply your detune ranges, and in that region, it's going to spread the voicing out. So we get this. You get that weirdness. Very hypnotic. From there, you can kind of assume what the rest of these do, right? You got the power chord, which is the 1 and the 5th. Major chord, so your 1, 3, 5. Your minor chord, your 1, 3, 5, but in minor, where your third is dropped a half, I think is what it is. Harmonics targets all of the harmonics in the spectrum above your fundamental, and then the odd harmonics are your 1, 3, 5, 7 harmonics, and subharmonics are all your harmonics below your target frequency. So if I go with a low C, right, it's trying to shove all the voicing way down there, but it's just bass back there, so you just get this rumble in the back. If I go with a higher note, now you can get a better, now you get a more like unison-y type sound out of it. So just be aware when you're using subharmonics that avoid hitting low notes, because all it's going to do is just create rumble, unless that's what you're looking for. Now we can play with the fun knobs. These knobs are where everything changes for me. So the first is table spread. So if you're from Serum, this is analogous to the table spread knob there, where it spreads the unison voicing across the wavetable. To show you this, I'm going to apply it to the basic shapes wavetable. And what you'll notice is the basic shapes wavetable is just slices of the different shapes. So we're going to expect sort of a nice distribution of all the different sounds or all the different waveforms, basic waveforms, at the same time, which you don't get because the oscillator is moving. And there you go. A very and if I turn the knob down, well, you should expect a sort of like filtering effect. Down it goes. Voila, that's your table spread. This is very useful for when you have something like your hypergrowl wavetables. Just spread it out across with some detune. To get kind of like that whispery, like kind of like sound to it. That's another fun knob to play with. One thing about all three of these knobs is as you change their adjusting knob, it changes how the table is spread. So you can see here that if I set this to the lowest position and evenly spread out, it nicely spreads out across the entire wavetable. But if I crunch this up a little bit, now you can see that it has to force more of the voicing to happen at the end of the wavetable. So you can kind of play around with it by setting, you can set it, like right in the dead center, right? And then just set this like, set like a LFO to be bipolar and just slap both sides of the wavetable. You can do that is one idea. So that's pretty cool. The next up is spectral spread. So this ties the unison voicing to the spectral morph knob. So depending on which mode you have this spectral morph to, let's do inharmonic stretch on HG3. And without unison, we get this. Kind of give you a little bit of a watery texture to it. Kind of cool. We can then apply unison. We're just going to max the sucker out to make it sound absolutely terrible, just to show you what I'm doing, just to show you what it does. And spectral spread the voices across the entirety of the spectral knob. So it will apply voicing in an even spread across the entire, across the range of the knob. And you can, yeah, it's like that. Which can get useful for when you're playing with the table spread and the knob and the harmonic stretch knob at the same time. If you want to modulate between the two, like if I want to do something like this, I'm going to try to be very gentle with this because when you're the unison settings can really get they can get really weird. You just have to be gentle with it. But it applies to no matter what of these knobs that you have. So if I want to put random amplitude into it, you know, keyframe it a few times, not keyframe it, but randomize it a few times, and then spread it across the entirety of that. You can use the random amplitudes to kind of get different sounds out of the waveform to get more like, I want to call it glassy, kind of glassy sound. I guess metallic is another way to say it, is like another analogous way to say it, I guess. I don't know. So, you know, you have all of these settings to play with, all of these different options to play with there. And finally, we have distortion spread, which is my personal favorite knob. It does the same thing as the spectral spread, but it spreads the voicing across whatever option you have the distortion knob set to. So you can do sync, you can do bend, you can do pulse, but you can do what I absolutely love to do, FM. So we can take a saw wave here. We're just going to go back to basic shapes. We're going to take a saw wave. We're going to FM it with harmonic series because why not? And we're going to apply a sine wave LFO to the position to modulate it slightly, a level down, and play with the oscillation and just absolutely decimate your ears. Probably a bit too much. Right? So now what we can do is if we turn this off, take the distortion spread across the entirety of the FM. That off. You get some really cool sound out of it. Yeah, just go absolutely crazy with it from there. And again, you can modulate all of these at the same time. Like I can apply an LFO to all of these to get different sounds. So go wild, go crazy. You can modulate all this and then just resynth to a wavetable and get totally different wavetables that, you know, nobody in their right mind would ever think to make. Right, this is just a bunch of weird looking saws. Blend it spectrally, and then just crank up the window size, see what happens. Right, I'm just going to apply a basic growl procedure again. Just to, I don't think it's going to sound good. I just want to play with it, just to see what I get out of it. Yeah, and you can just go from there. I'm not gonna spend any more time on that. So that's how you use the unison settings and the wavetable settings, and combine that with the hyper growl will get you something totally different. So let's go ahead and do an example here. So I'm going to set the detune down to say 35, 30%, 34 is close enough. What I'm looking for here is phase cancellation. That's what I want to try to inject into the wavetable. So instead of using hyperdimension, I can use chorus to add delayed voicing. It's not the same as a hyperdimension. The main difference with hyperdimension being that it has delay lines that are then amplitude modulated. I want phase cancellation is all that I want. I'm just use chorus to give it some width more than anything else. And now we get to play with the unison settings to sort of try to get some phase cancellation happening. We're looking for watery textures, right? So let me go, and I can't use table spread because there's nothing on the table here. So let me spectral spread this. So let me see what smear does. And again, this is just a lot of just trial and error. That gives it like a clearer texture, but not really any phase cancellation. I think there was this inharmonic stretch that. Kind of gives you not something I'm really looking for. Let's try phase disperse. That did nothing. Spectral phaser. That might be. Yeah, we can introduce a little bit of phasing like that. So let me go ahead and use the cool, and let me adjust the power. I do apologize for your ears. This is going to be terrible for a minute. And let's do distortion. Let's do sync, because why not? And let me do this on a triangle. Cool. I'm getting phasing, I'm getting resonance, I'm getting hella movement right now. So let me go ahead and resynth that to the wavetable and just do that over and over again. I'm going to do that 5 times, and then we're going to shut all of this off and reset all of our unison settings here. So take that off, reset. We're just going to turn it off, actually. and turn these off. Go to our wavetable. We're just going to listen to it actually first. Turn it down. All that, it just gets you, that is so much closer to what I want. Let me go ahead and blend this a little bit better. 5,000 is kind of the number that's coming to my head right now. Nice. Let's get that compressor in here. I get this guy set back. And remove you, change you to a ramp. That, and we're going to apply you here, and let's go hunt for some good stuff. Cool. Let's get dirty with it. That's kind of got a. I don't like the growl part of it, but I really like that thunk. Thunk. It's kind of cool. Anyway, play around with different wavetable and unison settings to get all kinds of different fun growls. Thank you all for watching. This took way too long to make. I had to do like 20 takes, man. I kept messing this up. So I appreciate you. I love you. And I'm going to leave you guys. I'm going to leave you with all of these hyper growl presets that I've already made, along with the one that we made and here, and also this preset here for you to jump right into experimentation with, so you don't have to set it up every single time. Let me go ahead and share with you a little demo, I guess, since that's what he did, of what I made with a bunch of, well, not a bunch of, but with some of these wavetable presets. So be warned, I'm not like a seriously talented EDM producer, So, this is gonna sound really dog shit, but um, it's about the fun of doing it. Anything else? So, take care, enjoy, have fun, peace. It's so terrible, man. Bonus scenes. Oh my god. Ah. No. I spent like 5 hours recording this video. Like 30 takes. I had note cards and everything, dude. And I just didn't read them. Like I read parts of them. But yeah, fuck. Just to prove to you that I did make these with the hypergrowl wavetables. Here you are. Hypergrowl 4. Hypergrowl 4. Hypergrowl 4 again. I guess I really like Hypergrowl 4. Here's Hypergrowl 1. Here's Hypergrowl 5. And I think this one's also 5. No, that one's 3. And then we have 2. I've used pretty much all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, I used all of them. Besides 6, because we just made 6, but that's whatever. So I made this. I made this preset. Oh, I didn't. Oh yeah, I did.
Mic test. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yep, we're good. Sweet. Alright, I'm gonna turn this light on so you can see. It's like a little TRD sticking out. You know what I mean? You feel me? Feel me? Feel me? Feel me, dog? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. And plug in the audio jack for it.